What's up? Today we're going to launch a new series. I would just like to title this video, Why I Think Hollywood is Done Forever. That's a bold statement. Maybe I should call the video, Why I Think Hollywood has Changed Forever. And there's multiple reasons why I believe that. It's one of the reasons why I keep coming back and doing this content is because of one of these reasons. I don't know, we're almost 10 months into this pandemic and obviously a lot has changed. People were like, 2020 was a dumpster fire. Thank God for 2021. Yay! Did everything go away? Did the virus just die out? Did, racial strife get fixed? Did, economic inequality? No. In fact, 2021 is going to be the sequel. And we all know how I do in sequels. With that being said, here's why I think Hollywood is dead forever. Hollywood used to be a place where it was a club. And the farther back you go, the more private this club was. There's a great book about the formation of Hollywood, and anyone should read it. It is called An Empire of Their Own. It is a great book. It talks about how Hollywood was formed. And Hollywood was formed by basically 5 Jewish fur traders from war-torn part of Europe. I want to say late 1800s. It's basically the basis of Universal, the basis of MGM, the basis of the Warner Brothers. They were the brothers. RKO, which eventually became Columbia, which eventually became Sony. There's another one. There was like the big 5, and then Disney was its own thing. Disney was a cartoonist, which is a whole other ball of wax. Hollywood was started by these 5 men from different parts of Europe that had a very, 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 very horrific upbringing. So Hollywood was born out of these 5 people basically trying to escape hell. And so what they did was, with the advent of film and the advent of the Nickelodeon, an actual Nickelodeon, which is you put a nickel in and you watched moving pictures. This is like 1902. They saw this new thing happening and people were just dying. They were lining up for this shit. They picked California because it's the closest to every season you have within an hour driving distance. So you can get to the beach within an hour. You get to the mountains within an hour. You can get to some forest within an hour. And they thought they could shoot any type of scenario. Hollywood for them was complete escapism. They made a Hollywood to escape their life. And they put on the screen what they felt they lacked or what they wanted to see. They made these big palaces. So if you drive around LA, these palaces that look like sets are because they were made by set guys. And they made these huge houses, and land was cheap and materials were cheap. And they were making a beginning of a killing in this new industry. And they were like, they ran it and they literally created this system. So what am I saying? I'm saying that Hollywood was completely a facade, and it was completely made up of dreams to counterbalance harsh realities. And they projected on the screen what they wanted. And Hollywood was like, they made the rules, they told you the stories, the public believed what they said. So Norma Jean was like this little town girl, broken home, blah, blah, blah. They gave her singing lessons, like The Godfather, dancing lessons, acting lessons, everything. Like, all of that is all true. You would go through a system. Clint Eastwood is the last one to kind of do it, who's still going today. And then from there, you had an image, everything, Doris Day, these images were crafted. And anything that went on, drunk driving, domestic violence, a pregnant over here, a strayed wife. It was all hidden. They did not want to mess up someone's image because that image was the cash cow. So they were projecting to the public. So the common working man could go and look at a movie star and go, that's a star, and escape the harsh realities of their life, right? And in fact, Leave It to Beaver, there's an argument, I think it was in this book or another book, where they say that Leave It to Beaver wasn't a reflection of society at the time. It was a Hollywood creation that society then emulated. So Leave It to Beaver, if you talk to people at that time, it wasn't exactly really like that until like those shows came on, and then they kind of went with the nuclear family. Hi, honey, how are you? Casserole and blah, blah, blah. So Hollywood created this whole image. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that I when I got into Hollywood, I knew about that history, but I was looking up to the stars, you know, like Elizabeth Taylor is like to me the quintessential Hollywood star, you know, Sidney Poitier, who then blazed a trail. What I'm saying is there's bigger than life characters, and you looked up to them, and Hollywood was made by these beaten down people who created something to escape. The common man looked at it, had these beautiful aspirations, these distractions, were believing a lot of these things that they were saying, but it's a lot of lies, right? But, you know, it was to make money and to escape. All that to be said is this. Why is Hollywood dead? Two things. Everything that was hidden is now exposed. You can't hide anything, nor should you hide anything, nor do people want you to hide anything. The movie isn't even the biggest deal. It's how you made it. What happened behind the scenes? What's the drama? Who hooked up? Who fought? Who was on drugs? That is now the new Hollywood. And hold on, how did you make it? What were you doing before? I mean, it's so much behind the scenes. The myth has been completely decimated, right? So that's why I get fucked up, because I grew up in a time where I was looking up to it, but I was also birthed in the behind the scenes of it and seeing that. So I was in that that vortex of like any movie when I first started was create this, don't say that, be a little bit more relatable in your interviews, but also do this for the DVD and tell some behind the scenes stories, which they didn't really do that back in the day. So then if you came up after me, it was like, yo, everything's got to be documented. Everything's behind the scenes. We'll show you this and blah, blah, blah. So that's one part of why I think Hollywood, because Hollywood is basically exposed. Now, there's a lot of people finding out about stuff about Hollywood. The common person that is not in Hollywood doesn't like. And there's a lot of shit being said about Hollywood. Hollywood used to set the bar of what people took as their media. And now a lot of people are just saying, no, I know what you really are as a person. I don't like you. I know what you did in your personal life. I did know no, I don't like you. But then there's also, first of all, when people talk shit about Hollywood, don't ever. I never talk shit about Hollywood. I love Hollywood. Hollywood is beautiful. It's the only place in the world that I know of where the guy who's on top of the mountain started at the bottom of the mountain and worked his way up. It's the only place where you can actually start there and get to, you could start, it's 5 roommates at the bottom of the hill and at the end have a house on the top of the mountain. That's doable. I'm a living example of that. So you can do that. That's why Hollywood's great. It's not that Hollywood is annoying. It's the people that it attracts. You know the saying, Jesus, please save me from your followers. It's not that Jesus was this bad guy. It's the fucking people. That's one reason, because I think Hollywood is being exposed and people don't like it, what they're seeing. And number 2 is, well, I mean, we've seen this with Ricky Gervais, his genius, but you know, it's been going on for a few years, but I just think it's more than ever now. It's just so preachy. It's just so preachy. People telling you, they're so smug. And they're like, this is what you should do. And this is why. And they're just so like elite. I'm elite, or it's what is the word? It's arrogance, right? It's like, it's not only I'm better than you, but you don't even matter if you have that opinion. And oh God. And it's like, oh geez. And I'm noticing, because I consume a lot of media, that people who can get information a lot of other ways are starting to go, you know what? No, man, I don't like you. You're too arrogant for me. You're too like know-it-all. And so Hollywood is in this bubble, kind of drinking their own little champagne or elixir, and they're like, oh, don't we know it all, darling? Yes, we know. But they don't realize that the bubble is getting smaller and smaller. And there's just a ton of people going, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. And if you notice that, you'll notice that in ratings and TV shows. You'll notice that on award shows. You're going to notice that on what people are talking about on Twitter seems to keep Hollywood afloat a lot because it keeps making things trend that I think are some of the dumbest topics of all time. I'm hearing the normal person, and I'm in Hollywood. This is a one fucking horse town. I live in the city, and I'm even hearing people just go, I'm so sick of that, which is crazy. This right now is Hollywood. I don't know if YouTube has ever been bigger. Like, I watch more YouTube more than anything. I get information from YouTube. I get entertainment from YouTube. I get my news from YouTube. I get a lot of stuff from YouTube. And I think people just want to take their stuff and they want to create their own. They're like, you know what? This is this. I'm going to do my own investigation and I'm going to go and make my own video, or I'm going to do my own content. Content. It really is the term content is now. And I think that because you want to make your own shit and you don't have to want to wait on anybody. That's another video I want to talk about, but why you should never wait on anybody to fulfill your dreams. You don't have to do it anymore. You have the tools right here. But now let's get to the bigger part. Movies. I mean, Warner Brothers just said our whole slate is zip. That's basically Warner Brothers just said, we're going to put all our movies on the internet. But actually, we're going to put all our movies on our own YouTube. That's what it is. Let's just be honest. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that. I'm fine with that because eventually everything goes on the internet anyway. But all of the pomp and circumstance and there's a lot of money that's left on the table if you don't have all the tiers of movies and stuff. But you tell me, do I love going to the movies? Yes, it's a thing. Do I want to run to a movie theater before a pandemic? Not as much. But now with this shit, plus all the other weird shit, not just the pandemic, it's a new world. So content, it's all bets are off. That's why Disney is plowing to Disney Plus. Apple TV. Apple will buy one of the big places. That's the rumor. The rumors are going to buy Sony. I don't know if that's true, but you heard that from me. Which makes sense. Get a bunch of content, right? I mean, Disney just bought Fox. That was another studio. Disney just went, so we'll keep all your content. So it's content, how you get it out there. And I watch all these creators on YouTube. People with 10,000, people with 50,000, 60,000. It doesn't matter, even if they're nice little ones. You don't have to have 1 million, as long as they have a robust audience. And I watch people do it. DIY videos, cooking videos, fashion videos, motocross videos, fixing car videos. It's fascinating. And I love it. Let everyone get their own niche. I think as people create their own stuff and the collapsing of the infrastructure is such, I just think people are going to be doing their own shit and paying less attention to the escapism. Now, that's another thing I want to say. After all of this shit that is going on in the world, the first thing I'd watched in a long time was Cobra Kai. And it's fucking amazing. It's actually the basis of why content can work so well now because of such a known brand, the nostalgia, but also the new generation and the places they go. And it's some of the old, some of the new, and some of the changes in the way they tell the stories from the POVs. I'm like, oh my God, I never thought of it like that. So you literally can have a piece of content that was great 40 years ago, revisit it from another angle. It's incredible. So that's the type of stuff I would like to watch. Also because I binged on so much reality lately. I'm like, let me have a little escape. And I think it's hit critical mass now. So I watch it. I just finished it. I literally watched it like a day and a half. I couldn't stop. So what am I saying? I'm saying everything's going to go to streaming. The curtain has been pulled back. People are sick of being talked down to like babies. Economics have changed. And people, quite frankly, we're all a little bit narcissist and are on our own interest, want to make our own things. We're just like, hey man, I'm going to do my own thing. Do I want to be in a great movie? Of course I do. Do I still audition and meetings and all that stuff? Of course I do. But I'm not going to wait. Not that I ever waited, but I'm not really going to wait. I'm going to create my own. And I've done it before with Malibu's, Jimmy Crane Experiment, different things. I hear as much about streamers on Twitch as I hear about the Marvel universe. I hear as much about Mr. Beast's YouTube Rewind as I do about The Mandalorian. And you have to look at the rise of reality since the mid-2000s, of how reality became cheaper to produce and easier to distribute. And people were like, I can do it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please, I'm really enjoying making this for you. The engagement's been incredible. Please subscribe. And you know what? Hit that notification button. It's really important because, you know, people really want to know when they get a new episode. I know I do from my favorite creators. So subscribe, notification, and my stuff is in the links below. You'll see like different books and stuff. But also in the comments, man, talk about it in the comments. Leave your opinions. It's very important to me. I listen to you and I read them all pretty much. People who say they don't read comments are bullshit. We all read our comments.